Are there really still money left selling on Amazon? Or are the course sellers just selling a course because there aren't any opportunities left? The good news is this video is 100% free. I'm not selling you a course. I'm going to show you the different Amazon business models, what they actually look like behind the scenes, and if they are actually profitable. I've sold on Amazon through online arbitrage, retail arbitrage, wholesale, brand direct partnerships, and private label. You name it, I've done it. I grew my Amazon business from $0 to $1 million in sales in 5 months and to 3.8 million in 2 years. And after going through every major Amazon business model and spending more than $10,000 on courses along the way, yes, you heard that right. I actually went and spent $10,000 on courses. Before you go ahead and spend that, watch this video first because the results might surprise you. In this video, I'm breaking down the different ways you can sell on Amazon, the advantages, the disadvantages of every single model, and the 2 models I would personally go for today if I was to start all over again. So before you spend thousands of dollars on someone else's course, make sure you watch this first because it's been a rough couple of years, but I went through every Amazon model there is and learned a lot. So the 5 models and what they are. First, there's online arbitrage, which is basically buying discounted products through online and reselling them on Amazon. Then there's retail arbitrage, which is basically the same exact thing, except you're finding products inside physical stores, just discount stores. We're talking like Marshalls, Kohl's, basically discount stores where you can find a good deal. That's where people go for retail arbitrage. After that, there's wholesale, where you buy branded products from authorized distributors. Next is brand direct, which is basically wholesale as well, but this one you work directly with a brand to sell their products. And finally, there's private label, where you develop your own product and build your own brand. After experiencing all of them, I can confidently say that there are 2 models I would recommend building around in 2026. Let's start with the models that most new Amazon sellers begin with. I'm grouping online and retail arbitrage together just because they're pretty similar, and the only major difference is where you can find the products. With online arbitrage, you're basically sitting at home searching through websites, either you or a VA. You have to learn first and then train your VA, and you look for profitable deals. You basically look through every website to find profitable and good deals that you can just resell on Amazon. With retail arbitrage, you're physically going to stores one by one, scanning every single product and trying not to look suspicious while checking the price of every single item in the clearance aisle. These models are popular just because they require a lot less starting capital and have very low overhead. You can literally run this operation right from your house, meanwhile producing some of the highest profit margins in the Amazon space. So basically, low risk, low overhead, with very high potential, especially to start, just for new Amazon sellers or just to learn, just to earn like a little bit of side income. That's how usually people start off, but the game has changed quite a bit over the past few years. Here's how online arbitrage works. You go onto websites like Kohl's, Walmart, Target, or any other retailer looking for a good deal on the website. Using softwares to estimate how frequently a product sells, its historical price, calculate Amazon fees, and find out your potential profit. I'm not going to promote the software just because I'm not affiliated, but for retail arbitrage, you're doing the same exact thing with the same exact software, except you're inside a store scanning the product's UPC instead of searching online. And when this model works, it can work extremely well, especially during back to school, Black Friday, Christmas, Memorial Day, where these stores are running huge discounts. Some sellers actually make yearly salaries in just these few months, just because they know where to look, they know what products to buy, when demand and price is about to increase. Yes, you heard that right. When other sellers sell out, the prices of some products actually go through the roof, and it's pretty wild, especially during Christmas. They use promos, coupons, discounted gift cards, cashback like Rakuten, credit card rewards, anything that increases profit. Setting something up like this correctly easily makes like a negative 20% ROI product into a 50% ROI product. You can imagine like Rakuten cashbacks, you can imagine like Dosh is still a thing, but basically like cashback for buying their gift card, stacking with your credit card, and then stacking with a 20% off. It gets pretty crazy. So as you can imagine, when you find like a 50% or even sometimes over 100% ROI product and you're the first one to find it, you just buy as much as you possibly can and send it to Amazon. And as you could possibly imagine, if you have a high enough limit, like some people do, you can make even as much as $50,000, even $100,000 a day. One huge buy without ever leaving your house. But here comes the downsides. The first is competition. One, most arbitrage sellers have no exclusivity or map protection. Two, when you find a profitable product, usually you are not the only one. Three, you have to constantly look for new deals, constantly look for new products, because let's be honest, you find that product once, it's very unlikely you keep finding the same exact deal, and it's also very unlikely where they keep letting you buy over and over again, because let's be honest, these stores, they do not like resellers. And guess what happens when everyone finds the same deal? The undercutting war begins. Definitely don't join these little Discord groups that gives away free leads. I promise you, competing on price with 30 other sellers, it is not fun. I went through it, and realistically, I had to liquidate everything and took a loss. And I had to pay out of pocket. Here's what it actually looks like. One seller lowers the price by 1 cent, then another seller lowers it by 20 cents, and then someone just comes by, drops it by $5 for absolutely no reason. It gets to the point where you're thinking like, how is this even possible? Like, are they stealing or something? They have to be running like a non-profit or something. Next, the second issue is invoices. In my experience and over the years, Amazon has become a lot more strict about invoices, supply chain docs, and proof that sellers are actually authorized to sell certain brands. Recently, that number of units has been bumped up to 400 units for big brands. Meaning, like, if you want to ungate a brand before, in the last 2 years, before you just needed like 10 units of an invoice and you're pretty much free to sell whatever you want. But recently, especially the past year, they gotten so strict that you need 400 units just to ungate the brand. And usually retail receipts do not work. So you might actually spend thousands of dollars buying that inventory only to discover that Amazon won't accept your receipt and not even let you sell your product. I heard tons of stories about this, and what most people end up doing is they have to actually go back into the store with tons of units they bought in store just to try to return them. Also, it was standing online, right? It becomes really, really awkward returning like 100 units of a product. Also, more recently, many of the big brands such as Nike, Adidas was the top OA and RA leads. They started working with Amazon directly for most of their items. So essentially the amount of items that you can sell shrunk, but the number of sellers was still huge. So it was just more competition for way smaller space and smaller catalog. But that doesn't mean online or retail arbitrage is dead. Thousands of sellers actually still make thousands of dollars, some even 5 to 6 figures profit monthly. It's crazy. Unfortunately, this system, especially if you're starting today, it's a lot harder to systemize, harder to defend, and harder to build into a business that you can eventually sell. I want to say that pretty confidently. If you want to start this business, don't build it to where you're trying to sell it, because I'm going to be honest, it's not going to sell, unfortunately. And that's why many successful arbitrage sellers eventually move to the next model. Wholesale has several variations, but the two main versions are buying from authorized distributor and working directly with a brand. Let's start with distributors. Instead of searching retail sites for individual deals, you basically contact every single distributor in your area and try to open an account with them. Accounts like, or wholesale suppliers like bottle distributors, free lead for you guys, by the way. And essentially you just purchase branded products at very large quantities. This is a lot more capital intensive than arbitrage, and the margins are always tiny. I'm gonna be honest with you, it's tiny. We're talking maybe like 10% margins, since you're working with distributor. So you're basically working with a middleman instead of working directly with the brand. But why do people do it? It is because wholesale can give you a lot more consistent supply of products, meaning like if you sell out, you can just order more. So realistically, like you can just keep finding distributors as long as you keep restocking the same product, right? Also, you have access to major household brands that you can't just get by, let's be honest, the chances of you working with a brand like Dove directly, highly unlikely. But that's where an authorized distributor comes in. They probably already carry these products. This allows you to keep consistent inventory flow, and sometimes even special orders, like a new item or item you sold out of and the distributor doesn't carry it anymore. You can literally place a special order with the wholesale supplier and they'll order it for you. The downside, however, is that not every supplier is legit. In fact, I actually want to say there are a lot more liquidation companies that their invoices do not work and are not authorized distributors than there are of actual authorized distributors. Also, even legitimate suppliers can create supply chain dock issues. I personally had situations where the same supplier invoices was accepted for one brand, but it was literally rejected for another. Like it worked for, let's say it worked for Irish Spring, but it didn't work for Airwork. That means you could purchase a large amount of inventory, submit the invoice to Amazon, and still have a problem getting approved. This actually happened to me a couple times and am currently going through this. I still have 3 pallets of this one product just sitting around and I cannot sell it. Also, since you're not working with the brand directly, the brand will not step in to help if any issues occur, like you get a section 3 or you get like a copyright infringement, simply because they hate resellers. Now, you're sitting there with pallets of inventory, an invoice Amazon doesn't take, and a very expensive whatever household or warehouse decoration that's going to be sitting there. Hopefully you can sell it. You can beg your supplier to take it back, but usually if they do, it's 20% fee, so it's going to be a little rough. Also, wholesale also requires a lot more of a serious operation and ran a lot more like a business. You're likely going to need someone handling like supplier outreach, someone analyzing products, someone purchasing inventories, and a whole team just preparing and shipping hundreds and thousands of units. This is where selling on Amazon begins to feel a lot less like a side hustle and more like an actual company. That leads us to where I believe is a much stronger version of wholesale. This is called brand direct. Brand direct basically means working directly with the brand and receiving permission to sell their products. So instead of buying from a middleman, you're actually building a relationship with the company itself. You offer to help the brand improve on something with their brand, like their listing, their inventory, advertising. You're going to be handling prep. I'm gonna be honest with you, improving overall presence on Amazon, even sometimes expanding to like Walmart or something. So at this point, you might be wondering, why wouldn't the brand just sell on Amazon themselves? Because I mean, the same reason why you're able to build an entire business selling on Amazon, it's because selling on Amazon is basically its own entire business. Working with someone like you means no new systems, no new departments, because selling on Amazon means new systems, new departments, new everything. Imagine they had to hire someone for prep, they had to hire someone to manage inventory, they had to hire someone for optimizing campaigns, they had to hire someone to optimize their listings, and just constantly manage Amazon as a whole. It's just going to cost them thousands of dollars per month, and this is why they go with sellers like you. For a brand that already sells to retailers and distributors, it might not make sense for them to create whole new systems. So instead, they can just sell to you. They can just work with someone like you and improve their cash conversion cycle. They can also It's also a lot cheaper. Instead, the company can sell its inventory to one or a very small list of authorized Amazon sellers, which a lot of them do, which leads to the brand receiving its money faster, avoid building an entire new Amazon department, and treat you like another wholesale account. So like they keep the same fulfillment, they're just wholesaling to you like they wholesale to other distributors or stores. So this is very, very simple and one less thing for the brand to worry about, right? Now, the good part for you is that working with the brand directly means higher margin, 100%. You're likely going to be at around like 10 to 25% margin, depending on the brand and category. Also, since you're working directly with the brand, it is a lot safer. I mean, also, if you do a good job, you're probably going to become one of the few authorized sellers that has guaranteed profit per unit and guaranteed sales per month. So it's basically going to be like a steady flow of income, and you can just keep stacking the wins like that. And it's actually what some of the biggest Amazon accelerators do, like Pattern, which is now on the New York Stock Exchange. Their market cap is like 2 to 3 billion, I forgot, but it's pretty insane. So you know where your inventory is. This business model, you know exactly where your inventory is coming from. You have permission to sell it. The listing have demand, and you're not spending every morning searching the internet for your next clearance deal. Now, let's talk about the model with the highest ceiling, private label. Private label just means, you're developing your own product. Well, not always developing. Back then, it was just people like white labeling a product from Alibaba or something. Basically, it's just creating your own product, right? Basically creating your own brand, and you're selling under your own brand. You're no longer reselling someone else's product. You're building an actual brand. For me, this model offers the highest margins, the most control, and the greatest potential value. Also, as a plus, if you do a good enough job, you can sell your business eventually. When you own the brand, you actually control the listing, the product, the packaging, the marketing, and the entire customer experience. You actually are able to control everything and build your brand from scratch. And it's honestly one of the best experiences, and probably one of the main reasons you wanted to get into entrepreneurship, which is building your own brand, building your own company, building something that is yours, right? You're not worried about if your supplier will suddenly stop selling you, or 20 new sellers will just randomly appear on your listing tomorrow. That might happen, but you're able to actually do something about that, right? You can actually file like a counterfeit or a copyright infringement or whatever the case might be. You're able to do something about it because it is your brand. And if you build something that's valuable, the brand itself becomes an asset. Amazon PPC provides one of the most warmest audiences that you could possibly imagine. Like, for example, if you're selling like curly hair shampoo, you can literally run for the product curly hair shampoo and get a customer potentially for like $5, right? It's definitely one of the cheapest acquisition channels that you can have for your brand, because it's literally people searching up curly hair shampoo. Like, they literally searched it not just because they want to look at products or look at images of curly hair shampoo, but it's because they actually want to buy it. It's definitely one of the strongest strategies to start your brand on Amazon, build demand through Amazon and your own websites, and then expand to retail sales, ultimately creating like a compounding effect. Amazon generates awareness for retail channels, retail stores, and then retail stores create awareness for your brand on Amazon, right? It's the first place someone looks if they want to buy something, in my experience at least. And your direct consumer website also gives you another way to reach your customers. And so basically the whole thing goes in circles, right? It's just ultimately creating a compounding effect and raising brand awareness for your product and your brand. Say your brand already sells in local retail stores, launching on Amazon can capture customers who discover the product in person and then search it online later, or simply reach customers where your retail stores are just not able to, right? For example, we're in New York. For one of our brands, we're distributing in the local East Coast area, but there's no way of reaching our brand in the West Coast. That requires a whole another operation, new sales teams, new everything, right? So this allows us to sell on Amazon, and then we also sell on channels like Fair, where we're able to wholesale it with Amazon building brand awareness, and then it just creates a compounding effect, right? It's building awareness for your brand ultimately. So that's pretty much why it's such a great channel to start with. But the truth is, private label in 2026 is not easy at all. The days of just going on Alibaba or AliExpress and then finding a generic product, slapping a different logo on it, and becoming a millionaire, those days are like long gone, right? The factories you used to dropship from in China are today selling under their own brand on Amazon at price points where it doesn't even make sense. Like this desk right here, it's an electric standing desk, by the way. Fully functional electrical standing desk for $60 shipped. It doesn't, like, the math is not even mathing. Like, for us to ship it from New York to even from mid to West Coast is more than $60. Let's be honest, this is oversized. So, it just doesn't even make sense at this point. But that's what you're competing against, unfortunately, by taking a completely generic product, making the logo blue instead of red, and charging twice as much. It just does not work. Well, I mean, maybe if you're like a marketing god, but you need a different product. And that difference can come from better design, stronger branding, improved functionality, or something like a specific target customer, better packaging, better content, or like a unique, or if you have like a god tier distribution strategy in stores, who knows? And yes, the barrier to entry is definitely higher than ever, but that can be a good thing. If the harder it is, the less people willing to do it, and great brands are still being created every single day. It is harder than it was several years ago, but there are more customers than ever on Amazon, and the potential reward is also much greater than simply flipping someone else's product. You're basically promoting their product for them, right? You're doing all the work for them. Realistically, you can start your own brand and do the same thing. You could sell it to an authorized seller and do the same thing that, from the previous models I was talking about. It definitely requires a lot more work, more uncertainty, more dependent on yourself, and more capital than RA and OA, but it comes with the most upside. Private label is still the model I recommend most. And if you already own a physical product brand and aren't selling on Amazon, I always tell people this. Guess who shows up when someone searches your brand? It is not you, because you're not selling on Amazon. So your competitors are running PPC on your name, and then they're taking the customers that you paid whatever X dollars for. Those customers may be looking for you, but simply because Amazon is more convenient, you're losing your customer base to whatever your competitor is. So is selling on Amazon worth it in 2026? Yes, but the easy version of Amazon is long gone. There are more customers than ever. Amazon is growing every single year by X amount, but e-commerce industry is growing. The two models, if I was to do it again, I would personally focus on are brand direct and private label. That doesn't mean online arbitrage, retail arbitrage, or distributor-based wholesale are bad. I've personally made very good money using those models, and arbitrage can still be a very great way to start with limited capital, just to understand the platform and learning how Amazon system work. But if your goal is to build something long-term, something you can systemize, something you can grow, something you can defend, and potentially sell one day, I believe brand direct and private label still provides the strongest opportunities. So is Amazon dead in 2026? 100% no. There's some brands that are making more money than ever, but throwing in a random product into Amazon and expecting passive income, that's definitely dead. In fact, even back then, it took me a couple months of losing money just to become profitable. We're not even going to talk about today, where the fees are higher, the fulfillment is harder, everything is just harder. Like all the fees has gone up. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. Like every possible fee you could think of has gone up. Amazon is still the biggest e-commerce platform with the most customers and growing. But you have to approach it like a real business, not a get rich quick strategy. So whatever it is the course is selling, I guarantee you after buying so many courses, it is definitely not as it seems, but it ultimately comes down to you as a person, how hard you grind, how much hours you put in, how far you're willing to take it. And hopefully this video gave you a more realistic understanding of different models and helped you decide which one makes more sense before you spend thousands of dollars. I'm not selling anything here. I'm just sharing the information I wish I had before I spent more than $10,000 trying to figure all of this out, right? I mean, not even just the losses, but I paid like $3,000 to $4,000 on one course, and then the other course I paid $6,000, which was like a wholesale course. If this video helped you, I mean, please, if you could hit the like and subscribe, it helps me continue making free behind the scenes content about building a real Amazon business. If you want more tips and tricks about like selling on Amazon, either running ads, how to create campaigns, how to create optimized listings, make sure you check out the channel, and I will see you on the next one. Thank you. Bye.